The International Monetary Fund says the RBA has to increase rates next week, otherwise inflation will not decrease at the required rate for the 2 to 3% target until 2026. So what does it all mean? And what will the new governor do? To answer those questions and maybe more, Leith van Onselen joins us. Leith, great to see you. What does it mean and what will the new governor do?
Look, there's probably a greater than 50% chance, I know I'm hedging my bets there, that the Reserve Bank's going to increase interest rates next week, unfortunately. So basically, since the last time I spoke to Erin, there has been a few changes in the rhetoric. The Reserve Bank minutes came out and they raised concern that rents are rising quicker than they expected. Also, we've got rebounding property prices, and that's, of course, caused by this extreme population growth we've got. And also last week's CPI data, the inflation data came out hotter than expected. And today the retail sales data came out hotter than expected. And what that actually showed was that retail sales in volume terms rose by 0.2% over the September quarter. Now, the population is of course grew by about 0.6%. So what that basically tells you is that the Reserve Bank's rate hikes are cutting expenditure in the economy, but we've got this sheer weight of volume of people coming in that's still pushing demand up. And that's one of the reasons why I've got this inflation problem that's quite stubborn. And that's been reflected most clearly in the rental market, which is the single biggest driver of the CPI. So basically, we've got the federal government pumping demand through running its highest immigration program ever, at the same time as the Reserve Bank's trying to slow the economy through interest rate hikes. And unfortunately, the federal government looks to be winning at the moment, which means the Reserve Bank's going to retaliate more than likely with higher interest rates. The only thing probably stopping the RBA from hiking is the fact that Treasurer Jim Chalmers came out last week and basically warned against it. And we've obviously got a new governor, so he's sort of thrown a bit of a test at her and threatened the independence of the RBA. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But the data certainly warrants probably another rate hike, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to say that to you. Given what Chalmers said and given the supposed independence of the RBA, are they as independent from government as we thought? And what will the decision tell us about that?
Yeah, well, certainly, the new governor is obviously caught between a rock and a hard place here. If Michelle Bullock does raise interest rates next week, obviously she's going against the treasurer, which is, they're supposed to be independent. But if she doesn't, she will get attacked by bond markets, economists, etc., saying that basically she could be a puppet for the treasurer. So basically, Jim Chalmers has put her in a bad spot, I think. And basically, he's gone against convention because the RBA is supposed to be independent of the government.
Yeah, baffling. We'll watch with interest. Now, you wrote a piece today on macrobusiness.com.au about migrants settling into Western Sydney, and geez, you did not miss. Tell my viewers the crux of it.
Yeah, so basically, for basically the past 15 years, Western Sydney has been basically the dumping ground of immigration. So effectively, I called it, cheekily, the Western Sydney ghetto. So effectively, what I call the elites in the east basically live in their sort of lower density places, close to the water and the expensive spots, and they don't suffer the negative impacts from this immigration, which tends to get shoved into Western Sydney where there's a lack of infrastructure. It's obviously a lot hotter in summer and colder in winter. It's not as the amenities aren't there, and it seems like the New South Wales government with their activity zone seems to be targeting the west for more dumping of migrants, while the wealthy suburbs won't be as affected, which I think is a sort of form of economic apartheid, and basically it's not sharing the load equally. And the whole thing is if the number one solution to this problem is to simply slow immigration. There's no reason why Sydney or Melbourne needs to grow this fast. Sydney's big enough already. But certainly it's not the right thing to dump them all in Western Sydney, which is already struggling with overpopulation issues, congestion, and those sorts of things.
Well, it's a hard one to talk about or debate because you get shut down. But Leith, good on you for raising it. Thank you so much for your time.